Yes, she did. She had an original copy. If it's still there, I'm going to go get it.
Bye. Okay, so we are live. Today we're talking about a lot. If you haven't, no, I should have said something. Come get a board, marker, eraser, everybody. Just.
I was going to toss this.
If this is your first day coming to tutoring, grab one of these packets.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I was going to be nice.
No, it's that's not.
Yeah.
That's not a good one.
No,
Drop ice and lines and stuff like that.
You know, I just try to give you the best.
Win.
You gotta get it.
Win.
Oh my gosh.
This one's bad.
A significant difference in your
You
life.
do make a significant difference in my life.
Oh, I love you too.
I know. Okay, so as everyone's getting situated, we are covering a lot. Yaffa, did you come get a board? Sure. He's fancy.
It's like those kids who bring their MacBooks.
What is this?
The
cover of the board.
So, ignore him.
It was
like
like
a cow.
can it erase off of there?
She gave it to young
Off
boy.
here?
I found the
Yeah,
copy
like-
over here that I buried my treasure in.
Jonathan Frank.
Yeah.
Let's record it to something else.
You can.
It erased. Yeah, might as well. Okay, so let's quick recap before we get into any questions. In this packet, we're covering a lot. Turn to the second page inside where it says aggregate demand, aggregate supply, and fiscal policy. We're gonna draw a few graphs. Let's draw an aggregate supply, aggregate demand graph. Let's do.
It says unit 3, right?
It does. Okay. It says aggregate demand, aggregate supply, and fiscal policy. I think it's the back of the second page.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So it gives you a whole bunch of boxes to draw different aggregate supply and demand graphs. It says one draw the economy at full employment, draw a recessionary gap, inflationary gap. So let's draw those three. It's like top and then these two in the middle. So remember. How do you draw, okay, so what's on the y-axis, Priscilla, for aggregate price level? We have Y, or real GDP, on the x-axis. Aggregate demand sloped downwards, labeled AD. Short run aggregate supply sloped upwards. If it is in long run equilibrium, where is LRAS, Yaffa? In the cross section, right here in equilibrium, LRAS. Boop, 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 1 and 1. That's the long run equilibrium. It doesn't necessarily always have to start in long run. If it's set on FRQ, it's starting from full employment. That's where you start from. If it's saying long run equilibrium, that's where you start from. But chances are that they're going to say something about either a recession or an inflationary gap. Still, the axes are the same. Price level, Y, aggregate demand, short run aggregate supply. There's our short run equilibrium. But if we're in a recession, John Frank, if we're in a recession, where is LRAS in relationship to that point?
LRAS will be towards the starboard side.
Okay, so right. Remember, if I based on your hand gesture, I figured. Or you were right. Just keep in mind, LRAS is what other line? The PPF curve. I thought I heard. The PPF curve. And remember that point inside the curve is a recession. And look how that point is inside that line. Same thing here. That's that point. That's where we're at. And that point is inside this line. LRAS. That's a recession. Oh, we're not there yet.
What's on the PPF?
Remember, okay, so inflation is obviously possible, but it's not sustainable, so it's almost impossible. Remember how we talked about points outside of the PPF curve being impossible? It's more like unsustainable versus possible. Okay, you know that on the AP test, chances are if they're having you draw this on an FRQ, they're not going to have you put ones and ones. What might they label that? PL1. Those of you that are in the spring semester, you just did an FRQ yesterday where you had to do that. PL1, Y1. But what's this one going to be?
Why?
YF. What does that F stand for? Full employment. At that point, it's fully employed. Inflation, it's just the same like type of graph, aggregate demand, short run aggregate supply. This is our current equilibrium of Y1 and PL1. But Dalton, where's LRS this time? And what is it going to be labeled?
YF.
YF. Still YF, because this is where full employment was, or is, I guess, and you're passive, LRAS. Okay. Let's go to the box where it says shifters of aggregate supply and shifters of aggregate demand. I don't love that he numbered the shifters of supply because, well, he made his own acronym. I made mine, NIGHT-P. So for aggregate supply shifters, no, aggregate supply shifters, and then I guess we'll do aggregate demand. So what are the aggregate demand shifters, DJ? And? Okay, so the equation of GDP, the expenditure equation. C, consumption, investment spending. Daniela, what is investment spending a fancy way to say? It's not stocks and bonds. What are we talking about?
Education.
It's business spending. And education is also there, and new house is also there. But the majority of investment spending is going to be like if Starbucks buys a new coffee machine, that would be investment spending. And then we have, they're buying capital. They're buying capital stuff or capital stock. Government spending and net exports. Shayla, net exports is what minus what? Exports minus imports. So remember, now semester kids just took a mock test where there was a table and it had like, this is what consumption is, and this is what business spending is, and this is what taxes is, and this is what imports and export or whatever. And it's just like, it was like, what is GDP? You had to, if you added up everything, you got a way wrong answer. But you had to figure out, like, you just added C, I, G, but then it said like exports and imports. And a lot of people just added those things. No, you had to subtract the imports from the exports and then like add that total to the rest of those. Okay, and then the shifters of aggregate supply are 90. Number of sellers, input prices, technology, expectations, and productivity. I don't know what his three are. I have no idea. There's the key in the back, so you can see how he labeled his three. He did it.
Prices, actions of the government, productivity.
Okay, so resource prices, that's input prices, actions of the government. That's the change of interest rates. So remember,
taxes and regulations.
Taxes, regulations. Okay.
That's what he put for actions of the government.
Is this man drunk?
No, he's actually like the leader of all things AP Econ on YouTube. Shout out to Mr. Clifford.
My president.
No. But remember, like input prices, if you see the term wage, that's going to be an input price. A wage is not what you make. If it says Kennedy's income goes up, well, Kennedy can now buy more. But if Kennedy's, like, the wages at Kennedy's store goes up, oh crap, now I have to pay more for my workers. I can't buy as many of them. I can't pay as many of them, so I can't supply as much. So if you see wage, that's an aggregate supply thing. If you say income, that would affect your consumption. So income changes. That's aggregate demand, but wage change, that's something different. Okay. Going to this box here at the bottom, negative supply shock, positive supply shock. If you just see the term supply shock, that means shift. So obviously negative, which would be in which direction? Left. Positive to the right. What is stagflation?
That's really, really bad.
It is because it's a what shift of which curve? A left shift of aggregate supply. Does anyone know another way to say stagflation?
Cost push.
Cost push inflation. Ignore the rest of that because I'm just trying to, we have a lot to cover and I want to make sure we do. So go to the next page here. Actually, go to the page after that. We'll come back to fiscal policy since we're talking about aggregate supply and demand. I do want to talk about the Phillips curve now. So it's a short run and long run Phillips curve right up here.
What page is that?
It's on the back of the third page. It's at the very top. Yeah. So I don't necessarily love what he's doing here.
That's a lot of lines.
You know what? No, I kind of do.
Okay.
I kind of do. Now that I'm looking at it closely. Let's look at the top two things. And we have aggregate supply and demand, and we have the Phillips curve. So, trend.
Yes.
What's the x and y axis of the Phillips curve?
Inflation.
And
Unemployment.
inflation and unemployment. This is a short run Phillips curve, labeled SRPC, and the long run Phillips curve, labeled LRPC. Right, DJ?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Get it, girl.
Fine. Oh. There you go.
That one was gross.
I forgot how much I missed this class.
Oh, thanks. Okay. Okay, so do you see what's happening at the top left aggregate supply and demand graph?
Point B.
No, do you just see what's happening? What in general is happening?
There's a shift.
There's a shift of aggregate demand. Aggregate demand is shifting. There's two shifts. If you're starting from A, it's shifting to the right to point B. If you're starting at A, you shift to the left, you go to C. So what would you call aggregate demand going from like point A to point B? Ooh, okay. I see what you're going at. I'm sorry. What do you call when aggregate demand shifts from long run equilibrium to like past long run equilibrium?
Inflation.
What type of inflation?
Demand.
Demand pool. So right off next to B, I want you to write demand pool inflation. And you can just put like increase in like aggregate demand or something. Okay, so what do you call when you shift from AB to AD2 when you go to point C? That's a recessionary gap. That's a recession. So going from A to B is demand pool inflation. But going from A to C, you can write off to the side here, that's a recession. It's causing a recessionary gap. Okay, so sorry, go ahead.
Cost push only happens when aggregate supply.
Shift to the
That's left.
Left.
That's the only instance when cost push.
that is cost push inflation. That is the definition of stagflation.
Like a fancy name for like whatever, it's just.
To the right?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Remember there are four shifts. Aggregate demand shifts to the right, demand pool inflation. Aggregate demand shifts to the left, recession. Aggregate supply shifts to the left, either stagflation or cost push inflation. But then when aggregate supply shifts to the right, there's no name for that. But that will lead to long run economic growth.
Okay.
Quick question. I know this is slightly off subject, but the AP test is Tuesday and
Wednesday
Okay.
in the morning. Afternoon. Afternoon. Afternoon.
God.
It's at noon.
I looked this up like 3 times.
Yes. Oh, that's really too bad. Throw it away. Yeah, okay. Rest in peace, board. Brought me lots of good graphs and lots of good answers. All right, so I want you to draw this off to the side on your Phillips curve if you haven't already. If we shifted aggregate demand to the right and went from A to B, what would that do to your Phillips curve?
Movement to the left.
A movement to the left because that's demand pool inflation and you're going to get more inflation. So what would you label this point if we're having graphs that correspond? That's A. Well, I mean, it's equilibrium, long run equilibrium. And then going from A to B is right there. That's what B would look like on on the Phillips curve. This right here is more aggregate demand, like higher aggregate demand. You could say demand pool inflation. whatever. So when aggregate demand shifts, it causes a movement on the short run Phillips curve. If it were to shift to the left, like aggregate demand decreases and there's a recession, then we're going to obviously have more unemployment. We're going to go from the natural rate, which is at 4 to 6% of unemployment, to point C, where there's higher unemployment. And you can call that a recession. You can also call that like less aggregate demand. Okay. So remember, a shift of the aggregate demand curve causes a movement on the short run Phillips curve. But what does a shift of aggregate supply do? It causes a shift in the opposite direction. A shift in the short run Phillips curve in the opposite direction. So down here, it did not have any shifts here on your aggregate supply and demand graph. So we're going to have to draw them. We're going to have two graphs. I already have one kind of started for you. It's just in long run equilibrium. Perfect. God, amazing. Sometimes I amaze myself. We got inflation and we got unemployment.
Wait, where are we drawing this?
Down here. So this one's already drawn for you. It doesn't have any shifts though. And then you're gonna have to fill this one out. Okay, so Hannah, give me an example of something that would decrease aggregate supply. Remember those aggregate supply shifters?
Not at all.
Well, we just wrote them down, like literally less than 5 minutes ago.
Input prices.
Be more specific. Tell me what happens to input prices that would cause aggregate supply to decrease.
They go up.
Give me an input.
What?
The price of fill in the blank.
Wages.
Wages. Like it, love it. Go where now? Up. Price of wages go up. I can't afford to pay my workers as much. I can't supply as much. Aggregate supply is going to shift to the left. Something like this. Short run aggregate supply. Prices go up. GDP falls.
Stagflation.
Stagflation. What does stagflation look like on a Phillips curve? Don't say that ever again.
What'd she say?
Nothing. It doesn't matter. She didn't say anything. She didn't open her mouth at all.
What did she say? So I don't say it.
She said something about her.
No, I just didn't hear you right. So.
Okay. What does stagflation look like on the Phillips curve?
Shift to the right.
A shift to the right, because this one shifted to the left, and this is going to shift in the opposite direction, so it's got to shift to the right. And so short run Phillips curve shifts to the right, such like this. What?
In the short run.
In the short run. Long run doesn't shift. The long run Phillips curve does not shift. We are not in equilibrium, so I'm not going to put any points. I'm not going to put any dots.
No
Okay,
books.
so I'm just
No
saying about
books.
Fiscal sounds very big. Like, you know, we just go down to.
You're no.
Okay.
Oh, I see where you're going. No. Oh,
Okay,
no.
I'll stop.
Yeah. Okay. There's that. But I'm also going to, hopefully, maybe you have a different color in front of you. I don't know. Since there's no room for us to draw another graph, we have to add it to this one. And I want to distinguish between like our pink shifts here and our about to be blue shifts. So if aggregate supply increases, Dalton, give me a scenario where aggregate supply increases, and do not say wages fall.
Technology gets worse. Yeah, there's more technology.
There's new technology. We're talking about going to the right.
Oh, going to the right.
New technology boom. Something SRAS to the right. Prices fall. And GDP increases. The economy is growing and things are cheaper. That's amazing.
Amazing.
That's amazing that both good things are happening. And short run Phillips curve is going to shift to the left. Short run Phillips curve, I'll say 3. Where are you going?
I don't know anything. So it's great.
Oh, looks like you're packing up and about to leave.
Oh, God,
Say,
She's about to cry.
you didn't know what the shifts are. Sit your butt down. Okay, all right, so that is the Phillips curve and how it's related to aggregate supply and aggregate demand. What is this? Okay, let's see what this, it says economic growth practice. I haven't looked at this. It says if interest rates fall, investment spending. Okay, here we go. Priscilla.
Yeah.
If interest rates fall, investment spending, and follow along at home, we're in this spot.
It's gonna go up
Why?
because interest rates are the price of a loan, so it'll be easier to take out loans.
Okay, so investment spending goes up, causing capital stock to,
Go up,
and economic growth to.
go up.
Okay. Megan, if interest rates goes up, investment spending will
Down,
cause capital stock to,
down.
economic growth to. All right, look at that. Let's do some true false. Okay. Yeah, who do I want to hurt? DJ.
Yeah.
True false, an increase in consumer spending leads to more economic growth rate in the long run.
False.
False. Why is that false?
Because it's
Just inflation.
It just causes aggregate demand to change, but does aggregate demand change how much you can produce? No. So like here we have aggregate supply and demand, aggregate demand shifts to the right. Well, long run economic growth is when the PPF curve shifts outwards. Bye, friend.
Bye, Queen. Have a good weekend.
Happy Mother's Day. Oh wait, you're not a mother.
Happy Mother's Day.
Aw.
This weekend?
Yeah,
Is
it's
today the 11th?
It's Sunday.
Okay, alright, gotcha. I'll send you a text.
Is that code for flowers? Okay. Rightward shifts with PPF. This is long run growth. And the PPF is the exact same thing as LRAS, this line right here. And when you shift aggregate demand to the right, you did not change long run aggregate supply at all. So you can't say that buying more things grows the economy. Supplying more things grows the economy, but not buying. So aggregate demand shifters do not have any impact on long run economic growth unless you're which aggregate demand shifter?
Government spending?
No. Investment spending, because who's spending?
Businesses.
Businesses, and businesses are the suppliers. So if C goes up, nothing happens to long run economic growth. If G goes up, if XN goes up, nothing happens to long run economic growth. Only if investment spending goes up, which eventually will it shifts aggregate demand first, but eventually if you're buying more pizza ovens, your PPF curve is going to shift as well. Dalton, number 4, true or false? Crowding out due to deficit spending causes less economic growth. You're about to repeat my question.
I was about to, but I didn't. False. True.
Which one?
I don't know.
Crowding out causes interest rates to go up. And now I want you to look at question number 2.
False.
No, 2. Because crowding out,
True.
it is true. Because crowding out causes interest rates to go up, and he just looked at question number 2 that says if interest rates goes up, investment spending goes down, causing capital stock to go down, causing economic growth to go down. Because what is deficit spending?
Too much money.
Spending too much.
Who?
Government.
The government. What else do you call deficit spending? You see the word deficit, you immediately think of what? Not just crowding out. Yes, crowding out. Of course, crowding
Borrowing
out.
money you don't have.
Okay, there's that too. There's that too. You're all saying also right answers.
Debt.
It's also debt. Yay, you know lots of words. Not the word I'm looking for though. Also good. Yay, Priscilla. Economics. I was looking for expansionary fiscal policy. Because expansionary fiscal policy is the.
I was close.
3 words.
I was looking for a phrase.
Fiscal policy.
I don't put. Hannah, you just volunteered yourself. Number 5, true false. When long run aggregate supply shifts right in the what?
No, I know this one. Keep going.
Okay, when the long run aggregate supply shifts right, the natural rate of unemployment increases. True or false? The natural rate of unemployment never changes. That would be you redefining what it means to be unemployed. You can't do that.
You're never unemployed. Welcome to the glorious kingdom of Aristotle's.
Thank you.
Number 6. Jonathan, I forgot how much I miss you in my class. Rihanna,
In a good way or bad way?
you always add a little bit of fun flair. Brianna, true or false? A sustained increase in productivity causes both the long-run aggregate supply curve and the production possibilities curve to shift right.
I feel like yeah.
Yeah, I feel like heck yeah, very, very true. And Jacob Clifford is attractive. True or false?
False.
False. You hear that? False. Okay, and I stole your packet. What are you gonna do? We're gonna get arrested. What?
It's okay. I know some friends are Sicilian.
We should tag him in the comments.
No. Okay, let's do some fiscal policy going back to the front of this page.
Wait a minute, how'd you steal the packet?
She did it.
Do you see the notification at the top where it says do not
It
post
says
online?
post online. Don't you see that? We didn't post online.
If you that's like don't copy this.
I'm not posting it. This would be like posting it. I'm just referencing it. I'm just referencing it. But turns out like
Go back one page.
one.
Look at the footer.
If your teacher gave this to you and didn't pay, they are a jerk. I've been called worse. Okay.
Wait, where did you get this? Someone
student.
gave this to you.
A
Seriously, thank you for
student
supporting
whose
ACG.
friend bought it, gave it to her, and then.
Against you there. Previous packet you did.
But she gave it to me last year, the day after the test. I was all like, "Thank you." Now, and she's like, "Well, use it for next year." I was like, "No." All right. So let's talk about fiscal policy.
The beginning of this was like,
Where is that?
if someone gave this to
The
you for
very,
free,
like,
move up to that.
Right in front of what we were just at. It says classical and Keynesian economics, fiscal
Yes, I
policy.
see it.
Okay.
Where is it?
We're going to be focusing on the right-hand side of the page, where it says fiscal policy, government spending, taxation, multiplier, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so the two tools of fiscal policy are taxes, changes in taxes, and government spending. Remember, the government can have expansionary fiscal policy or contractionary fiscal policy, depending on what they're trying to do to the economy. So expansionary fiscal policy, well, what would they do with taxes, Kennedy, to expand the economy? Lower them so you have more money to spend, so you go out and buy more things. Lower taxes. What should they do with government spending, Valeria?
Increase.
Increase, because that's more government spending. It's part of GDP equation. If government spending goes up, GDP is going up. I mean, the government pays me, pay me more, then I have more money to spend. And this is, when are you going to do expansionary fiscal policy? When you're in a what? When you're in a recession. I'll say in a recession, you'll have expansionary fiscal policy. Well, you're not always going to have a recessionary gap. You're going to have an inflationary gap. Inflation, question mark? Let's solve that with some contractionary fiscal policy.
We should probably start doing that now.
Yeah, unemployment. I don't know if you noticed. Unemployment, what's the actual range of unemployment? 4 to 6.
It's like
Last month it hit 3.9, which is like, that is on the low end. People are like celebrating, but it's all like,
You idiots!
don't you, like, slow down. We're like caution signs ahead, because what's after that is an inflationary gap.
What if it's you just low inflation? Like, what if it's like it keeps inflating, but like it doesn't crash?
No, but here's what happens. Okay, there's some inflation. So how does the central bank, how does the Fed combat that? By raising interest rates. You know that you guys are about to go to college, right? On student loans.
They got rid of Janet. How did
They got rid of Janet.
We're doomed!
anymore.
And then it's just like, okay, I can't afford to like buy a new car or take out a loan for a home, or I can't, like, the interest rates are too high on my student loans or whatever. And then that's the slowdown that you just said that you wanted to avoid.
No. What I'm saying, like, if unemployment is like 0,
Then
and
then hail Mother Russia.
and it just never crashes.
What happens if unicorns arrive one day and take us off to a magical land where we burp glitter and every night we dream about cupcakes?
That actually might happen depending on what religion you are.
Stay tuned for world religions.
Also, Ms. Taylor, is it true that we're actually now taking in more money than we're spending, or has that just been wild propaganda created by the current administration?
I honestly don't know.
Okay. Because I heard tell of that, and apparently everyone was going, "What?"
I don't know that.
Because we
Oh,
have
you're
been taking it positive.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, that's the tools of contractionary fiscal policy. You raise taxes and you lower government spending. But this is where the short run ends. Like with fiscal policy, you have now just this right here, expansionary fiscal policy boosts aggregate demand, raises GDP, lowers the unemployment rate. Everyone is super happy. Of course, what does this combo create? This like more spending, less bringing in money thing? That causes a deficit first. This creates a deficit. It creates a deficit in the long run. And then, can anyone think that they can fully explain the idea of crowding out?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, Priscilla?
Yeah.
Okay, go.
Okay, so crowding out is whenever the government starts borrowing money from the banks.
Why are they borrowing money again?
They're borrowing money because they don't have any more money.
Why don't they have any money?
Because they aren't taking taxes.
Right, they have a deficit, they aren't bringing in as many taxes. Okay, they're borrowing money from the banks, go.
They're borrowing money from the banks, so the supply of money that the bank has to loan out decreases, which raises the real interest rates, and now no one can take out any loans because it's so expensive.
Yes, so short run effect of expansionary fiscal policy is that it works. Like it increases aggregate demand, we close the recessionary gap. But if you continue this deficit spending like they did to get us out of the Great Depression, then like in the long run, what graph am I about to draw? Loanable funds. What's on the y-axis of loanable funds? Oh, it's y. It's real interest rates. Quantity of loanable funds cube LF, just regular supply and demand curve.
Is it on a 3 ranges of AS curve? Or
You know what? Is there any space for loanable funds on here?
It says crowding out right at the bottom.
It says crowding out at the bottom. Where am I
And the
looking?
problem with fiscal policy, number 3.
Okay, so there's some tiny itty bitty room at the very bottom of the page where it says crowding out in a box, like on that page. Like don't have to turn anything. It says problems with fiscal policy, deficit spending, time lags, crowding out. So you can draw a tiny little itty bitty loanable funds graph. But does anyone remember? Priscilla said it right. Less supply of loanable funds. What else could you say?
Increased demand.
More demand of loanable funds. Like if I demand a loan, I demand it, but then there's also less supply. So both are right. If I take something of yours, that's my demand, but no supply for you. So it's the same thing. I'm gonna say less supply. I always draw less supply. Supply shift to the left for loanable funds, which raises the real interest rate. And that crowds out investment spending. Businesses that need to take out loans can't take out loans because the government did, leaving less for loans for them.
I had to vape constantly with that forever.
Shouldn't vape.
I don't vape. Vape is.
I know.
It's against my religion to vape.
What religion?
I'm pretty sure that's against every religion.
What religion is that? It's not Christianity, right?
Actually, it is Christianity.
Yeah, it says like don't put any like drugs or things in your body.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
Technically.
Technically, yes. It also says like don't tattoo your body and don't get your ears pierced and things like that.
Yes, it is. Literally everyone.
Cancels out. It just God just like this is mine.
It's like, this is your wedding.
You're good.
You get one.
Is this a green day?
I killed a person. Well, okay. I don't know why I can't make the screen larger, but we need to talk about the flip side. That was with crowding out an expansionary fiscal policy. But what about if they create a surplus instead? Is it going to increase the size? No, it's not. Okay. I'm just going to do this. Raising taxes and lowering government spending. That creates forex contractionary fiscal policy. That creates a surplus. So you need to make sure that when you are looking at multiple choice questions, FRQs, whatever, if you see the term deficit spending, you have to say that's expansionary fiscal policy. And if you see the term surplus, government budget surplus, you need to say they just contracted the economy. That's contractionary fiscal policy. They will say things like that, not because the idea of a surplus is important, but the idea of like what happened to create the surplus is the meaning of the question. So surplus, they create a surplus, and this is the idea of crowding in. I'm the government. I just slow down the economy because of an inflationary gap, whatever. And I have all of these taxes that are brought in. I have all this money. I don't have a deficit. I have an extra surplus of money. Am I going to the bank for a loan? Why not? Because I have money. I don't need a loan. And so this is a real loan or real interest rates, quantity of loanable funds, demand, supply. What's going to happen here?
The demand goes down.
Either the demand for loans goes down or
Supply goes up.
supply increases, like because there's more money in the bank because the government's not taking it. For me, this is the way I think. For crowding out, I always shift supply to the left. But with crowding in, I always shift demand to the left. Because I think of like not wanting it, I don't need it anymore, and the idea of not needing it is demand. Interest rates fall. Of course, if interest rates fall, that's going to boost the economy again. Probably to that inflationary cap that we just tried to fix. Then it's all for naught.
That means we just stop doing it because there's no point.
Oh, yeah. I remember
But here's the
we had
thing.
this one.
If you stop doing fiscal policy will still happen, won't it? That's automatic fiscal policy. So let's talk about that.
It's gonna take a while.
Why do we try?
Automatic.
Why do we try? There's no point in trying. Just stop.
Okay, there is a point of trying.
Yeah.
Welcome, Andrew.
Hi.
I guess it's 2:35 somewhere, when tutoring started. Anywho.
235 the Rocky Mountains or so.
Thanks, Jonathan Frake.
YouTube live on my way driving.
Well, there's one person watching it now, and one person gave me a thumbs up. Thumbs up to you too. Okay.
Happy Dylan Morgan.
Is it a live? It's definitely
live.
Yeah.
Who's watching?
I don't know. I can't tell who's watching. Actually, maybe I can.
Actually, I think we can.
Is it Dylan? It's Dylan.
Because I saw him like 2 seconds ago.
So let me just comment to him. Hi, Dylan. Hi, Dylan.
Why did you say hi?
Okay. Hi. Welcome.
Why did you say hi to the camera? He's watching.
Okay. Let's see if anyone responds. Okay. So,
Thanks, Kayla, ultimate YouTuber.
yay.
Smash
That like button. Hey, DJ just said we should do anything. And then it's like, okay, fine, let's not do anything. Taxes and government spending will naturally change anyway. And that's automatic fiscal policy, where the government is not purposely changing taxes or purposely changing government spending. It just naturally happens. And so how do taxes naturally, that's an N. It looks like, it's going to look like naturally, but it's naturally go down in a recession. Why?
Because people are spending less.
No.
Wages.
I'm talking about income tax.
Wages.
Not, if you say,
Like tax brackets?
what, Hannah?
Like,
Did you mean
if you get less money, then you're not in the higher tax bracket in your job.
Oh, no, I'm in a recession. I'm not making as much money. Well, but I don't want you to tie wages to this, because wages is when like the government doesn't do anything automatically or discretionarily. DJ, I was talking to you, but you like got distracted.
Sorry.
Okay. I lost my train of thought.
Wages.
Okay,
Tax
no!
brackets. Tax brackets.
Tax brackets. Hannah, oh no, we're in a recession. I lost my job. I'm moving down to a lower tax bracket. Bam! I pay less in taxes. I was in like the 25% tax bracket. Now I'm in like the 10% tax bracket. Yeah, I don't have to pay as many taxes. That's a tax cut. Yeah. So taxes naturally fall in a recession because people move down. No, you know what? I'm not. Taxes naturally go down in a recession and go up in inflation, just to cover all bases, and go up during inflation as people move up and down tax brackets. Okay, well, what about the government spending thing? Because taxes, that's a fiscal policy tool, but so is government spending. How is government spending? What? Welfare. So welfare is going to go up during recession. That's more government spending just naturally. And then welfare is not going to go, it's like no one's going to be on welfare when the economy's doing really well, especially if we're 3.9% unemployment, no one's going to be on welfare. And so that's government spending less money right there. Okay. So for like the government spending tool, it's welfare. Welfare goes up in recession and down in inflation. Let's talk about the multipliers. Oh, the multipliers. I need some water. Okay.
It's crazy stuff.
Dinner.
It's more of a snack.
Oh no.
Oh, sorry.
We must seize the means of production now.
Honestly, I agree with communism.
We're not doing this.
And now you're responsible.
Did you guys remember what I told you before this started?
I will allow it.
I am having.
I'm
right
Phillips
now.
She said
Great,
she
Miss
was-
Taylor.
Diet Cokes.
Right now.
Do I want a diet?
Oh,
Yeah.
Why?
I have one. I don't want
In
it.
your pocket?
My bag.
Is it cold?
Room temperature.
No, thank you. As appetizing as a room temperature Diet Coke that's been shaking
I'm
in your
sorry.
bag all day.
I don't have. It's not in my bag. Like the can's cold, but I feel like
I have water.
It's in a can? No, it's fine. I don't want it.
You can go to the water.
I don't want.
Aluminum gives you Alzheimer's.
I'll get a water out.
Oh, lies. Okay, let's talk about the spending and tax multipliers.
Oh, fun. Yay.
Actually, I found
What is the multiplier of that?
It's the same thing.
DJ, where have you been?
It's
What?
what it says on the sheet.
That's what it says on the sheet.
It's effect. Not affect, that's what you're asking.
Sure.
Okay.
Effect is a noun.
Megan,
DJ.
Yes, that's true.
please can we?
Affect is a verb.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nouns.
Spending and tax multipliers.
Okay. Does anyone know these? Nope. Does anyone from the first semester remember the spending multiplier?
Oh,
Yeah.
AT.
And that sounds a whole lot like the tax multiplier. You just said T.
AT. Like 1 divided by.
It's not like
That's
negative
tax.
tax.
It's doing spending.
Stop,
Oh, I
stop
thought-
saying words.
I thought you were going to say both, and so I was just hinting at it.
Is it
One of
like-
my
Then tell me like multiplier for spending first.
Negative MPC.
I don't know what you're saying. You're in the class right now.
Yeah, but I know it.
I hope so. What is the spending multiplier,
1
DJ?
over MPS.
What?
Over 1 over MPS.
1 over NPS.
Or 1 over 1
Don't-
minus
nope.
MPC.
Not right now. Andrew, what's the tax multiplier?
No, never mind. That's kind of what I was going at.
Negative MPC over MPS.
Negative MPC over MPS. Okay, T is negative MPC over MPS. Remember, MPS is marginal propensity to save, while the MPC is marginal propensity to consume. So if I say, like, Dalton makes $100 more, and now he spends, hold on. If he was like making $100, and now he makes $200, he had a change of income of 100. But when he was making $100, he was spending $60 of it and saving the other 40. But now with 200, he can buy a little bit nicer things. Now he can spend, he's not going to spend all of it. Now he's probably going to save even more. He might spend $100 now. So to figure out what MPC and MPS is, MPC is change of spending, a change of consumption over change of income, while MPS is change of savings over change of income. And if you know one, you know the other, because they're always going to be, if you add those two numbers together, MPC and MPS, it's always going to be equal to 1. So if I say MPC is 0.8, then you know that MPS is 0.2. So we'll see what his MPC and MPS is. Well, change of consumption was from 60 to 100, so the difference is 40. His change of income was from 100 to 200, a change of 100. This is going to be, since I just said spending, this is going to be his MPC. So it's going to be 40 over 4 over 10, which is what in decimal form?
Oh, 0.4.
0.4.
But my question was, what if you don't change consumption? What if you just spend the same amount of money, but your income increases?
Yeah. It would be 60 over 100. No, it'd be 0 over 100. Can you do that? 0 divided by 100? You can't divide by 0.
That's
It would just be 0.
It's 0.
Because marginal propensity to consume means any new additional income, any new additional consumption because of a change of income. And if you say I don't change my consumption, then your MPC would be 0, because you're literally saying I've spent $0 from a change of income. Make sense? Okay. But Dalton is not. He's going to be like everybody else and spend more if he makes more. His MPC is going to be 0.4. What's his MPS? 0.6.
Oh, sorry, I was still thinking 0.
Darn it, DJ, you're making this whole exercise very tricky.
Okay.
You gotta learn to chin.
This is not the summer of love.
Okay, so what do you do with these problems? If there's any sort of change in spending, the government spends more, you spend more. Even if foreigners come over here and spend more money, any change in spending is going to have a multiplied effect on GDP. It's not like Shayla spends $1, the GDP goes up by $1. It's going to have a multiplied effect because of the spending multiplier. So any type of spending times the spending multiplier is going to give us that change in real GDP. Same thing with taxes. And this is if like Congress or whatever, they change taxes, raise or lower, it's going to have a multiplied effect on GDP. This time by using the tax multiplier. Let's say you're not great at remembering the tax multiplier problem equation. If you know the spending multiplier, the tax multiplier is always 1 less and negative. So if I say the spending multiplier is 75, which it won't ever be, but that'd be crazy. If the spending multiplier was 75, you know that the tax multiplier for those same MPCs and MPSs will be 1 less, 74, and negative 74. Someone just said what? Yafa. Let's give you some real numbers.
Why is it 1 less?
1 less?
Just
No. I know the answer to that.
Why 1?
Why 1? Why 1 what?
Why 1
Why?
less?
Oh, why 1 less? Okay. I need money. Understatement. Okay. Here's $4. I really hope I'm really making a connection with this example. And I've made this example before with quarters, I think.
Yes. I feel like
Yeah.
in our quarters.
But I'm richer now, because not really. Okay, I'm going to erase this and this, and most of this. Okay. Let's say this is proving my point of why the spending multiplier yields a greater impact on GDP than the tax multiplier does. If they were to change spending by X amount and taxes by the same amount, the spending is going to have a bigger impact always, and here's why. Let's say that the MPC is 0.75. That means the MPS is 0.25, yeah? Well, let's just figure out what the spending and tax multiplier would be. If MPS is 0.25, the spending multiplier is going to be 1 over 0.25, which is what? 4. And I can figure out the math. I will. It's negative MPC, negative 0.75 divided by 0.25, which is going to be negative 3, which is 1 less than 4 and negative. Here's the thing. If the government, oh God, this was so good when I was walking to my desk enough. I don't know if I'm going to even pull it off. Okay, if the government puts in money, spends money, the government doesn't have a savings account the same way you guys do. The government doesn't save for a rainy day like you guys do. If it spends $4 on education, if the government spends $4 on education, all of the $4 goes towards GDP. But if you guys get $4 in taxes back, you're like, well, they'll spend it. No, they won't. Not all of it. They will spend 0.75% of it and save 0.25% of it. They will spend 3/4 and save 1 from their tax return. That's what they'll spend. And that's why it's always 1 less. Because you guys put one of these little things in your pocket and then spend the rest. And the government doesn't have a pocket to save. They put all of this in there.
But it won't always be 0.5.
It won't. It will be 0.9 and 0.1. But that's still, and then, okay, so now the multipliers are different. This is going to be 1 over 0.1, which is 10, and this is going to be negative 0.9 over 0.1, which is negative 9. Still, you guys, the government spends $10. All $10 is going to go into that. You get $10 back as a return. According to this, you're going to keep one of those dollars in your pocket. Spend 9.
But the government spends all 10.
They don't need to say they're going to spend all 10. You guys, you get a tax return. You're like, I'm going to save some of it for college or whatever, and then I'm going to spend the rest. How much are you going to save? Whatever MPS is.
It makes sense, but I feel like there's like a big connection. Like you had like an epiphany walking to your desk. But I feel like I'm not getting that.
Okay.
Like I understand it, but I don't understand like full circle. Like, whoa, do you know what I mean?
The government not saving money. They don't need
They don't have a pocket to put it in.
Okay. Why are they spending more money? To get us out of a recession? Why would they spend less than what they could?
They're going all in.
I mean, they're already going into a deficit. So they're not going to be like, hey, I'm gonna totally fund this project to clean up lakes and rivers. No, I'm not. Here's the rest. Does that make sense? You guys save in a way that the government does not. And even if they did save, they could print more money, and you can't. You shouldn't. Okay. Okay, let's do some math questions. You got a board in front of you. Hopefully you have a marker.
Does it make sense, like, people, the government has to spend all of it, if they don't want to partially get you out of a recession, they want to get you all the way out of a recession. I get that, I just feel like there's, do you ever like go through life thinking there's something you're not getting and everybody else gets?
Yeah.
I feel like that's this.
Okay, so remember on our FRQ, you're taking the hallway. So we went over in class.
Yeah.
One of the questions was like, if government increases spending and increases taxes by the same amount, will aggregate demand go up?
Yeah.
And it's like, yes, it will,
Yeah.
because the spending multiplier is greater than the tax multiplier. And I think y'all wanted to know why. Why is the spending multiplier, why was KS always one larger?
Because they always spend more.
Because they aren't saving. You are always going to be spending a little bit less than 100% because you have savings. Government spends 100%.
Okay.
I just don't think anyone ever gets as excited about figuring something out as Taylor does, so you'll never quite get that feeling.
That's true.
I think I was looking for that feeling.
I'm sorry. That was misleading.
It happens.
It was misleading.
No, it was okay.
I was getting hyped because, like, no, I honestly think that in my head, I expected like a roar of applause. And Allie, hi, it's Allie that's watching. Hey, Allie. She does Carpinci.
They're called Allie.
It's like,
Allie's here.
I'm out.
well, I didn't say hi. I did just say hi.
No, you definitely said hi, Dylan.
Watched it to the video, but then I typed in hi, welcome. And she did, I don't know what that symbol is, but it's like emoji. I don't know what that is. It doesn't matter. We're doing some math questions. And the questions are going to start off with if MPC is 0.8 and Congress raises government expenditures by $100 billion, what effect on GDP will it have? What's going to happen to GDP if government raises expenditures by $100 billion and MPC is 0.8?
So,
Yay.
okay.
Yay.
You know what?
Yeah.
Wow, you guys are so good.
I'm sorry.
I'm just sitting here.
If you put your burger down, I'm sure you could do math a whole lot faster.
Chicken
Sandwich.
Chicken
Oh
sandwich.
my God.
Burger beef. You can't think with an empty stomach.
Hey, you can.
Not as well.
Saying, Shayla.
You,
Maybe that's why I got bad grades in your class.
You did
What?
once.
were you say?
You are hungry.
First period.
And then eco win.
I didn't do math. What is that?
No, did you take psych?
No.
Oh, that's why you don't know.
You should take second.
Okay, wait.
Yeah, you can take psych next year.
I still can't do math.
I got it.
Okay, so Daniel, you. Okay. Okay, what happened to GDP? It increases by how much? 500 billion. How do you figure that out, Dalton?
You find the spending multiplier and multiply that by
What is the spending multiplier if MPC is 0.8? What's the spending multiplier equation?
1 over
1 over MP.
S.
S, because you know what? Your shoes that start with S always go on the bottom of your feet. So whether you're talking a tax multiplier or spending multiplier, MPS is always on the bottom.
That's actually really cool.
Okay.
Yes, I made it up.
Just now.
No,
Oh, how come you never told me this before?
I probably said it a lot.
No, you didn't. It's
Yeah,
the
I've
first time I've
never
ever heard
heard
this.
that.
Okay, maybe I haven't said
Never
it.
heard it.
Are you kidding?
Never heard.
Yeah.
I remember that.
1 over MPS. MPS is 0.2, not 0.8. That's MPC. 1 over 0.2. 1 over 0.2 is what, Dalton? 5. 5 times what, if that's the multiplier? 5 times 100. This is our teacher real GDP by $500 billion. Okay, let's do a couple more questions. I just spit on myself. That's cool. If GDP went up by 400,000, no, 400 million. If GDP went up by 400 million after an increase of expenditures of 100 million, what is MPC?
Ooh,
Now you're working a little backwards.
I got you. Maths.
Be nice.
I
I'm just trying to think. Shayla's trying to think around you. That's correct. You know what GDP changed by. You know how much they spent. What you're missing is the multiplier. Well, you know, if you know what the multiplier is, and you can set it equal to its formula, you could probably solve.
Are the math questions going to be this easy on the exact
I hope it's all math. I know what I'm doing, but I get them all wrong.
I don't think you know the definition of knowing what you're doing. Good job.
Like in my head, I know, yes, do this, and then I just don't write it.
Oh, you shouldn't do that.
With my pen.
So, okay, Kennedy,
Over.
solve for MPS now.
Okay,
And then once you know MPS, once you know MPC,
yeah,
okay.
but I don't know where to I'm not good at math. So
Okay, so
just
you-
pretend that's an X on the bottom. Right. So 1 over X equals 4.
I don't know if this is
Yes.
Yeah.
really
So
like
times the X, so 4X equals 1. Right? Yeah. And then divide by 4 to get X.
Kennedy might need to see it because that was kind of hard to follow.
Yeah, I was like,
Okay, so if you want, like, I need to get this not on the denominator.
you multiply it.
Times MPS, cross off,
Yeah.
times MPS. Writing it just over again, 4 MPS equals 1 divided by 4 divided by 4. MPS is 1/4, which is what in decimal form. So what's MPC? There you go.
nails or
0.75 was the answer in case you're following along. Okay.
how long have we been going?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Okay, let's do one more math problem and then I have some multiple choice practice. Oh, God. Okay. One more, Megan said you didn't cover the Laffer curve because it's on resources. Okay, we're gonna do one more problem and then we're gonna do Laffer curve. Okay. Laffer curve, Jonathan, Laffer curve. He's not listening. Jonathan Frank,
Yes?
Laffer curve.
Laffer Curve, also known as voodoo economics, it is the basically idea that spending and lowering tax, basically spending will increase by the people buy more capital stock if you lower taxes to a certain point to where the government will get more intake by the lower tax revenue because people are spending more on capital stock.
All right. Okay. All right. But let's do one more math problem, and I'm trying to think of something. Here we go. Oh my God.
We are in a recession. Never mind. We're always expanding. Because people don't want to
It's
contract. Some time.
People don't want to contract.
50.
No.
700. Inflationary gap.
42.
42 is the answer to life.
That's big.
Let me see. It's the one that's, it looks like this. Tax revenue. Tax revenue. Tax rate. And then it goes like this.
Okay. To close this gap, something happened with taxes. The NPS is 0.2. What happened? What might have happened to close this gap? Go.
So that was a change.
Okay.
600 billion.
Yeah.
Right?
And then you gotta figure out something like that. Yeah, thank you.
So fiscal policy is heavy on the test, so you need to be studying that. Not just looking at this video. This video doesn't count as you studying. You need to go on and find some questions. You basically need to go to College Board and find as many FRQ practices as you can and do them. You also need to go online and figure out multiple choice practice questions. All you got to do is Google AP Macroeconomics, multiple choice, or mock test, or whatever, and find some questions. You need to be practicing like you play.
I'm not doing something. I'm trying.
Don't look.
Wait, it's -4.
Don't look at what?
It's a down arrow.
You're going to cut taxes. In inflation.
Oh, I was going.
No.
No.
What do you mean?
The answer is not right. Your answer is wrong. It's incorrect. That is not the correct answer. It's wrong. That's what I mean. Yes.
Oh,
That's
wait,
better.
sorry.
Okay.
It's wrong. That is right. What am I looking at?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's right.
The other way around.
Are you raising or lowering it? Good. That's much better.
Sorry.
Yeah, all y'all said to cut taxes. You should cut taxes.
Because
signs-
-4 is on my brain. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
the signs didn't work.
What?
You have 600.
As in, okay, you're right.
But you were -600.
No. You need to subtract. This is what you need. How much change in taxes times that tax multiplier? Tax multiplier is going to cut us our GDP down by -600.
Okay.
You want our 600 to fall. We're in an inflationary gap. So if the KT, yes, hold on. If MPS is 0.2 and the tax multiplier is negative MPC over NPS, it's going to be negative 0.8 over 0.2, which is -4. So it's saying what times -4 is going to give us that -600 billion. Well, I want this to be negative, so I'm going to raise spending, taxes. I said taxes by 150.
Why is it -600?
That's what the IRS.
We're in an inflationary gap. I want GDP to fall by 600 to close that gap. If I raise it by like 600 more, I'm going to be even in a $1,200 billion inflationary gap. There's on an iris 5, we're past it because we're in inflation.
Right.
Yes.
So like,
They burst lights flashing. It's like,
okay, like the boobs are going from here to here. So it's you're like
I'm saying that if we were to raise taxes by 150 billion, ag demand would fall by exactly that amount.
so then you're back in equilibrium. So it's good.
Then you're back at equilibrium, then you're good, you solved your answer.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Before we move on to multiple choice questions, we gotta talk about Laffer Curve, which is the dumbest thing ever.
Boy.
Sorry, it doesn't shift. So I feel like talking about it is like as
Okay, yes.
important as talking about the circular flow model. It's like, there it is. Do you know it or you don't? Okay. So this is government revenue. This is the tax rate from 0 to 100%.
Oh, right on here.
I don't know where you're gonna write Laffer Curve either.
Writing it on the board. I got it.
What is that? Oh, government revenue.
What am I saying?
I'm deleting.
Okay. Laffer Curve's nowhere here.
We could draw where
Maybe this
show
is
economic growth.
No. Unless you like get rid of that title.
Yeah.
Scratch off that title. I don't want you later to be like, oh, I don't know you show economic growth on a Laffer Curve, and then it's all like,
I was gonna scratch out the.
okay,
I know that I'll make.
yes. You know that there is some number between 0 and 100. Don't let the slope of that curve fool you. It's not 50. Don't know. Don't care. It's X. Some X percent that if you charge higher, like income tax on people, the government will make more money, but up to a point. After that point, you're actually earning less. The government is bringing in less money because people stop working as much, and so they're earning less of an income. So yes, you're taking like 70% of their income, but their income's like $3. So 70% of $3 ain't much. And if you take 100% of their income, well, then they're going to just stop working, and you're going to get 100% of $0, which is $0. So it's not like more taxes, more government money. No, up to a point.
Can't they just test it out?
They do.
What's the y-axis?
Government revenue.
Theory. Okay, how is the government?
Mess with tax rates like 5 years at a time.
Yes. So I'm hearing what Yaffa's saying. He says Republicans are going to say that sweet spot's on the lower end, while Democrats are going to say that sweet spot's on the higher end. They're going to disagree.
Let's just test it out. That's what it's
There's economies don't exist in a bubble, in a vacuum. There are so many other factors. They could raise or lower taxes all the time and then just see what happens to the government revenue, but so many things are happening. Like there's wars and there's welfare and then there's whatever that are happening that it doesn't just exist in a vacuum. Kennedy.
What kind of questions would be asked about this? Like,
yes.
Which of the following describes the Laffer Curve? More taxes leads to more government revenue at every point. There is no relationship between taxes and government revenue. And then it'll be the one that's like at a certain point, more taxes leads to less government revenue. So it's going to be a descriptor. It's not going to say anything else really. Okay, let's look at some multiple choice questions. So you have your whiteboards in front of you. You're going to write your answers on the board. And where did I put my little sticky note? Here, right here. All right. Okay, so just to give you an idea, I went through an old mock test, and out of 60 multiple choice questions, there was, I just counted 10. 10 that relate, count again. 10 that relate to just fiscal policy, and that was not even including the ones that was fiscal and monetary. So it is a hefty percentage of the test is fiscal policy, and I counted the multiplier problems as well. Okay, so looking at question number 8 first, right here. Here we have an appropriate fiscal policy to combat a recession would be to increase which of the following? A, interest rates. Instead of like saying it out loud, why don't you write it down? Because when you're saying it out loud, you're robbing someone else's chance to think. Okay, so interest rates, money supply, yes, taxes. Good job, Yaffa. And wait. No. You were saying taxes. That's what you robbed my opportunity to think. Yeah, it's increased government. Combat or with the love of God, combat a recession to like fight a recession. You're going to increase government spending.
Yeah, usually, but doesn't it?
She did it already.
I did it, and it's just kind of annoying.
Doesn't that result in like government deficit?
Yeah, but
yes. Yes.
Yeah, but it's like in the short run.
I said in the short run it fixes a recession.
Oh, in the short run.
In the short run.
Okay.
And number 14 is next. It's right there. Okay. Number 14. Crowding out refers to, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do this. Okay, number 14. Crowding out refers to the decrease in national output caused by higher taxes, domestic production caused by increased imports, a decrease in private investment due to increased borrowing by the government, a decrease in employment caused by higher inflation, a decrease in exports caused by an appreciating currency of a country. I'm looking around and I see all the right answer, which is C. C, good job. Number 19. Here we go. Here's a math problem for you. You got your whiteboards out. Oh my God, I'm just trying to like, Oh, come on. Okay, number 19. Okay, if you see this word autonomous, ignore it. Autonomous just means it's not the government doing it. Okay, suppose that autonomous consumption is 400 and the marginal propensity to consume is 0.8. If disposable income increases by 1,200, consumption spending will increase by?
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
What?
So this is a spelling.
Nice. Nice.
Okay, I'm not kidding.
Okay.
Oh, I definitely got it wrong. So I'm gonna answer this.
Yes. Was that the total, Jonathan?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so they have the total on there as an answer choice. That's tricky.
I think it is. My head math might be off.
Light years are
Not like the total
No.
consumption
Okay.
study, but like
Hang on.
all.
Yeah.
It's not like five.
Like I'm gonna
So loud.
Yes.
I just hope it's all. I drew the money supply curve on my government test.
I love you.
It didn't help.
Yes, I got it.
Because like all the other answers were totally wrong.
Okay.
It was like we talked about the.
I
Oh.
honestly, this is a difficult question. I don't like the way it's worded at all.
I like it.
I don't-
because it's-
So
I got it so far.
Okay, Megan, do you think you can do this on the board?
Yeah.
Okay, come on up.
Wait, how do they do it?
On that board and use your marker. You're okay, you're fine, I believe in you.
No, okay.
Suppose, okay, go ahead.
Okay, so their consumption is 400, so.
No, I can't do it with you, I believe
Can I
in
do
you.
it? No, wait, Taylor.
I want to do it. Does it come off?
Yes.
She did it before, remember?
Break it.
Oh my god.
Okay, and then, so your MPC is 0.8. And then it says that your income increases by 1,200, which is your change in income, so that's, what is
That's too complicated. Just
gross.
Wait, you wrote. Oh my god.
You don't even need to know that.
you don't.
Shangri-La.
Yeah, and then you're finding this.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah,
It's gosh, it's so much easier to do.
1200 times 20.
Yeah, and then that's 960.
All you're doing is like,
That's
Wait, is it D?
yeah.
It is D?
Uh-huh.
I thought there was more to it. I got that.
No.
I was
Oh, you
trying
did?
to subtract everything. Yeah.
No, it's just like if
Because you said to Ryan, you were like, it's like the total isn't the answer. And I was
No,
like,
but then he added 960 to 1,200 and got 1,360.
that's what I got.
Yeah, that's
I thought it would be if disposable income increases by 1,200, which would be.
because your consumption spending is what's on the top, because it's your change in consumption over your change in change in income, which equals 0.8, so it's 960.
This is already.
That's disgusting.
okay, just Windex it, it's fine. Hey, Miss Wise.
Which flies?
Oh, power. Okay, even when it just says my name wrong, still my name though. Kind of. Okay, remember how you said AP macroeconomics is like the most boring thing ever?
Yes.
But you're back, so it somehow draws you back in.
It's for the kids. It's for us.
Kelly, as our students tell us, and was told to me just the other day, I love you. I hate your subject.
I hate that though. That's like saying you look great for your age. Like that's like, oh.
No, it's more like a good person.
No, it's all like, I love slapping you. It's like, no, it's the worst.
It's not you, it's me.
Yeah, it's like, we're breaking up. No, that's the worst. Because this is me.
This is me. This is me.
That's
wrong.
I don't know what that even is.
Is that not the lyrics?
You switched
This is real. This is.
There
you go.
Yeah,
Jonas.
I
today.
make
That's
on.
nice.
Oh, so
Yeah,
beautiful.
Right. Yes, Kelly, I had the same experience the other day. I told my kids, get your head in the game.
Yeah, or.
I know all these songs.
And that is
Oh my
what
god.
happened. They all started singing.
It's okay. The Face of
You don't
First
get a cup.
theme song was sung quite loudly in Mrs. Moyer's
I
class.
know.
my class was great.
Like 0.8 and all this.
Oh yeah, when
We all
everyone was
just like started singing
screaming.
the face.
So now we're doing question number 24. An increase in the following. Hey, Han, an increase in the following can be expected to cause an increase in GDP in the short run. So an increase to what raises GDP? An increase in the tax rate, an increase in the interest rate, equal increases in both imports and exports, equal increases in both taxes and government expenditures, equal decreases in both investment and government expenditures.
It's a short run.
Yes, short run. Don't be thinking about anything that might affect in the long run.
I want to be closer to the morning so she can see.
She can still see. I can still see.
No, I was sitting in the back here, and then I was like, look.
Wait, y'all all put D. Wouldn't those just cancel each other out?
No, because the spinning multiplier is more than the.
Yes! Yes! It was. I'm sure. Hindsight bias. Okay.
I want Miss Lisa's
Because
side.
I was thinking about government expenditures and like with stuff going on with Trump, how people are like, well, it's just gonna be a temporary fix.
Ah.
It's like correct logic, but that's what I was going
Look
with.
at you bringing like current events.
You're welcome. You get this.
Okay, number 27. Stagflation is most likely caused by an increase in aggregate demand and a decrease in aggregate demand, an increase in aggregate supply, a decrease in aggregate supply, a large increase in the money supply. Yes, a decrease in aggregate supply, also called cost push inflation.
It says stagflation.
It says stagflation. 36.
Is this someone that we took?
Is it cost push?
Yes, cost push.
Is this someone we took or
Did we
not?
take this one too?
This was last semester's final.
Oh yeah, this
Oh,
one was not
oh,
fun.
yeah.
Not like this.
This one was
awesome.
Yeah. I got an 80 on
Yeah.
I did not.
I don't remember.
I
Didn't
do well. I got an 80.
Okay,
I don't know.
36. An increase in personal income taxes would most likely cause aggregate demand and aggregate supply to change in the following ways in the short run.
Yeah.
Aggregate demand, aggregate supply. So I will let you.
I remember being stuck on this question for like
Can
20
you
years.
tell me what aggregate demand is?
Aggregate demand is the total demand of all goods and services. Like, that's it. That's all good. That's
Total.
Demand.
All-
Total demand of all goods and services. All purchases by consumption, like us, government spending, businesses, which is investment spending, and then foreigners, net exports. I see that most people put
Does not exist.
does not exist. No. If they increase taxes, what's going to happen to aggregate demand?
No.
Decrease. It's going to decrease. So like get rid of A, get rid of B, get rid of B. So we're either to like, hey, is increasing income taxes going to affect how much businesses can make?
No.
No. And so no change at C.
Wait, what?
Doesn't affect aggregate supply.
Like the.
9P is income taxes in any of them.
If income tax
Short run. If income taxes go down, won't people spend more money and then the businesses will make more money
No,
and then
but like, if taxes go up,
people still want the stuff, they just can't buy it, so demand wouldn't change, right?
Demand.
No, demand is not just.
Consumption spending.
Demand is their spending.
I don't.
If they don't buy it, they're not demanding it.
No, it's demand isn't demand. It's just like.
It's like, I really.
What the heck was that?
The word
Demand is.
The word demand in the thing is misleading because it's not like what people want. It's what people
Are
buy.
buying.
Right.
But that also means that people are wanting what they're buying.
No,
You don't buy
people
things
still
that you
want
don't
things.
want and you don't.
Well, I don't.
No, people still want things. They just don't buy it.
And
So
that's-
the word demand.
That's the
is-
idea of scarcity and opportunity cost and the entire study of economics.
No, but like that's just like the word demand in aggregate demand is misleading.
So that's a
It should just be like
under
aggregate like
Did we do that yet?
in aggregate spending.
Did we do over under thing?
Yesterday.
What is
Yeah.
that?
Comparative and absolute advantage.
Over under.
We talked about that yesterday. The video is posted online.
Yeah, I've been thinking about watching.
That matters. The thinking about. It's all about the thoughts.
It's the thought that
intention.
counts. It's the thought that counts.
Okay. 30 something. 38.
don't think I'm gonna do very well.
You're doing great, Miss Taylor.
I've been doing.
Up.
So close.
Oh, nice.
38. Which of the following is true about the marginal propensity to consume? A, it is the percentage of total income that is spent on consumption. B, it determines the size of the simple spending multiplier. C, it increases as income increases because increases in income cause people to spend more. D, it is the same as the money multiplier. Or E, it is equal to the average propensity to consume for people with low incomes.
Just because it's so
That's right. That's wrong.
That's also yours.
You're wrong.
People,
No.
rich people, that as their income goes up, they save more. They spend less percentage of their income. So it's not C. Their NPS goes up.
A because I thought A was, isn't A like just APC in general? Percent of total income?
It's not percentage. It's not A.
It's not A.
That's APC. It's B.
That's APC.
What is it?
What's
the simple?
What is that?
What is the spending multiplier?
What is
I
simple spending multiplier?
That is the most simplest answer.
Yeah.
It's B. It's average
propensity.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, A is talking about average and average propensity to consume and average propensity to save. C is not right because as income goes up, richer people have a smaller NPC because they are saving. As incomes go, this NPC goes up as incomes go up. No, NPC goes down. NPS goes up because they can save more. In like the Cayman Islands and stuff.
That's really expensive to live there.
And stuff.
no, just go to the Swiss banks.
He's out. Okay. Number, we only have 3 more and then we're done. 48. It's right there. I see it. Stop. Okay. In a closed economy with only lump sum taxation, if the marginal propensity to consume is equal to 0.75, a 70 billion increase in government spending could cause a maximum increase in output of.
Ooh. Maths.
I hope it's all math.
Maths.
I hope it's all math.
Is that right?
It's maths. It's because if it's math.
I did the math in my head.
Yeah. Math.
I mean,
Because it's easy math. That's
Yes.
easy.
I didn't know how to do 4 times 70. I was like, what is that?
4 times 7.
it is
4 times 70?
Yeah.
4 times 70, which is $280 billion. It is E.
There's a lot of complicated steps between there
No.
and there.
Not really. No.
No,
It's complicated
It is-
in my mind. 1
I see that. I say
over
4.
0.25.
It's 0.25.
It's always
and then you
0.2,
do
like-
whatever 0.25.
And that's always 4. NPC of being 0.75 is always 4. Multiply is 4. Or tax multiplier is -3. And then 70 times 4, and that's 7 times 4 is 28, and you add a 0, and there's 280. Number 57 and 58.
Hey, what's not a function of fiat money? What is that? Fiat money?
We're talking about fiat money on Monetary Policy Day.
can get this one.
Fiat money? Yes.
What's fiat money?
Fiat money is what we have. Our dollar bill is fiat money.
It's not backed
How
by
much money
anything.
do you
Correct.
It's C. So it's C.
Wait, what? Which one?
What? The source.
Yes. Yay! I got it. It's not like a cattle that has
Is our money
intrinsic.
fiat money then?
Every money in the world is fiat money. There's not a single country in the world still left on the gold standard, and maybe some tribes
Oh, that's
like still use like seashells,
With
but
the rocks. Miss Taylor, can I get a sticker?
Yeah, but like everything typically has no intrinsic
you've never had a
value.
sticker.
never got
That
a
can't be right.
No, I've never
No,
got a
that's
sticker.
probably right because you
That's
pick on the people
honestly
that like
pretty
are
right,
loud.
because I got 2 stickers over the course of the semester.
I got one inside.
And I sat in the
That's
front.
it.
Really?
Yeah, me too. I sat right there.
I got literally like
I filled my entire water bottle.
See? Filled up
She
her
filled
whole
it.
notebook.
Yeah, because he's loud.
Yeah,
She
but
likes
Taylor,
to
you
I'm
look
not
at me
allowed
all the
to have
time.
stickers.
She likes
I
to
still
pick on
want
people who
stickers
like she
for that
thinks
one
won't know what's
thing
going on.
That's me.
Oh, thank you.
I like that whole water bottle.
Okay.
Can I
should
get a
all get
sticker? I showed
stickers.
up.
Oh my god.
Hey.
Yes.
Yeah, you get all of that.
We showed up on a Friday afternoon to tutoring.
Yeah, look at all the cool kids. I told you all the cool kids would be here. And there's some of them.
If John photo.
Tell him to go watch the live
There.
stream.
Hey Shayla, wave. There you are. Okay.
Photoshop memes of
Hello.
teachers.
That's you?
Are you the mean person?
No, there's different.
Are you the
Yeah,
mean
I
team?
told
I know.
you.
No. Andrew?
Wait, what?
No,
Who's the mean
it's
team?
not. It's not.
Oh,
It's not
no.
him,
Is
it's
it
not
me?
him.
No, it's not
What do you
me.
mean the mean
Wow.
team?
I mean
I
team,
know
they've
who-
got to be seniors this year.
They are
TISD?
seniors.
Hold up.
Oh,
Yes.
I know who it is.
Wait, seniors, tell me.
I told you.
Yeah, wait, the TISD memes?
Who was
The
it?
TISD memes? Oh, we
Can I
can't say.
say? I don't know.
I know
No,
who it is,
you're
I'll
on
tell you
live stream,
later.
you can't see anything.
Yes.
Mike
Fine, there's nothing bad about it.
Don't say it.
It's a trade secret.
I have to know. Will you tell me graduation?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
He's not gonna graduate this year.
Okay.
I'll tell you after they, I'll tell you first day of school.
Okay.
next
No,
week.
no, Miss Taylor, Miss Taylor, as
You need
I
a
walk
phone call.
across the stage, I will tell you.
Text me.
I won't be
Now
on
we
the
don't know if
stage.
it's on this meme team. You're on the
Right?
stage.
I do lead y'all out.
Yeah, then I'll tell you.
Okay.
You can hold me on that.
I will.
He's not on the team.
No,
Is there a team or it's just one?
it's a meme team.
It's a
It's a
team.
team.
Apparently I wasn't going to.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do that.
58.
Oh, God.
58. Which of the one would cause a short run aggregate supply curve to shift to the right? An increase in the wage rate, an increase in the interest rate, an increase in the natural rate of unemployment, a decrease in capital stock, a decrease in the expected price level.
Average
Average supply curve shift to the right.
Oh.
No, wait, no, that's not right. That doesn't make you mad.
Because it's C.
Because it's increasing.
No,
I'm just kidding.
no, wait.
I'm
because
just
that's-
kidding. It is
hold on.
not C because that's the rate of
An increase.
Because it's
I
over
almost
space
went
Wait.
Your mom would be so sad
No,
to
no,
have to marry you on Mother's Day.
Is it that one? Because I thought that doesn't shift anything.
No.
Okay. So there's an increase in wage rate.
Expectations. 19.
No, I know, but like.
Does an increase in wages increase aggregate supply?
No.
Does it increase the interest rate?
No.
Does not even happen.
No. You
A
said it
decrease
did.
in capital stock?
No.
No. Oh, hold on. I thought price level doesn't. Oh my God, is that a shifter?
Expectations.
It totally is.
19.
But hold on. You know, whatever you expect comes true. Okay, so if you expect there's aggregate supply, aggregate supply shifting to the right, there's aggregate demand. Aggregate supply shifting to the right does lower prices. If you expect prices to fall, they will. Expectations is a shifter. It is E.
If Cole were here,
It just broke.
Oh my God, if Cole were here, he would slam his board and walk out.
No one in here understands.
I do.
No,
I know.
no,
You told me about that.
No, literally, Cole would literally scream. He like one time, Miss Taylor asked a question, and he
Okay,
was
I
like,
said what shifts aggregate demand, and this was like maybe the second week of school.
it was so long ago, but he keeps doing the joke, and I'm like, oh.
What
Because
joke?
he said price level, and I was like, that's literally the only thing that can't be right.
I've done that twice.
Yes.
So literally every time she like, asks a question, I was like, price level. And she gets so mad. It's funny.
Bitcoin.
Oh my God,
She still
okay.
gets mad about
I
that.
honestly really enjoyed that article you sent out about the Bitcoin.
Thank you. You're the only one that read it.
I like
I read
that.
it. I sat in front of Adrian's here.
I had
and that's like
a date
all he
night
talked about.
myself.
It was Bitcoin. It was like,
A date.
I
I've had the bathtub, had like,
No, I went out to dinner by myself and read the article.
wow.
No, wait, what was the article about?
It was about Bitcoin.
What about Bitcoin?
My God, like what is it, the creation of it, like what is it? Like it's everything you need to know about
It's the
Bitcoin.
next legal
Isn't
tender.
Bitcoin on the decline now?
Yes.
It's stable at 8,000. It's been 8,000.
Yeah, but it
now.
was at 17,000.
Yeah,
Right.
but now it's stable at
I would call that a bubble.
8. Now it's at 8.
Wow.
Pop.
8 cents. Okay, last question. Last
It's been 8
question.
for like the past couple months.
Oh, you're like a princess. Okay. And that's not the right one. Okay, last question. An increase in aggregate demand will cause which of the following? A movement along a given short-run Phillips curve, a long-run Phillips curve to become horizontal. It falls over. It falls over in disgust that you would answer that. A short-run Phillips curve to shift to the left, long-run Phillips curve to shift to the right, a long-run Phillips curve to shift to the left.
If it's an extent, then we could put that.
A. A.
It's Dear E.
Okay.
If it's in which one's down.
You're kidding, yeah?
Like, I have to confirm with that one, and so like,
Horizontal.
already like
I did that today. I was all like,
9.
I said, like, there's like 9 days or something, and I did
No,
this.
she's like, you can get 9 points on this.
Taylor. I saw somebody like
I appreciate that.
I'm so
And a thumbnail.
I wrote.
I can't choose them. It gives me 3 thumbnail options. And usually it's all me. Oh, and I already picked a thumbnail. And have a great afternoon. Don't forget to wish your mom happy Mother's Day this Sunday. And you just said it's weekend because test is on Wednesday and it's going to be really hard. See you later. Bye.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Forget like and subscribe. Don't forget to share.
Post notifications.
Smash it. Smash it.